Flobo, such a big fan of the Lurkers, wanted to join him for a little bit. Going to be hanging out with the Lurkers, and he's back. Flobo, how was your visit to the Lurkers?
Oh yeah, the Lurkers said what's up. They didn't really say much. It kind of did a little kind of like a silent thing. It was awesome.
Yeah.
See, I thought he just got attacked by one of the new characters we just saw. That's how I thought. That's what we're leaning into here.
You know, I'm actually glad you say that because you're more trusting than I am, Justin. I was like, is he one of the guys under the mask? I can't tell. Flobo, where were you a couple minutes ago?
Hey, I did not go to Corpus Christi, Texas. And if I did, I would bring back a lot more barbecue if I had the opportunity.
Well, Justin, you mentioned it. We ended the show with clearly what the biggest news of the night is. The Wyatt group made its appearance. Lights go out. We get the creepy music, the piano keep playing. They murdered everybody. Everyone's dead in
Good night, everybody.
The gorilla position has been totally wiped out. This is something they've been building up to for a very long time, Justin. Did this deliver in their debut?
Yes, I do think it delivered. I think they gave us the countdowns and the clues, noting that it was going to be tonight. We get the reveal. Michael Cole and Pat McAfee even kind of acknowledged such when we got one of the interruptions earlier, like, oh, like tonight's the night. Obviously, if you're watching the clock, you see there's still 5-6 minutes to go. So we knew something was coming. And then, you get the famous Bray Wyatt, different musics that we've heard, the sound effects. I mean, visually, it looked like we were taking a tour of like a haunted house, like a real house of horrors. I mean, I've never seen, and WWE lately, especially under the new way that they're shooting things on Raw, and they're trying a lot more new creative TV things. We've seen more of these continuous one shots. This was another one of those that was very, very intriguing to watch them do this. And then we see the different characters. So yeah, I absolutely thought it delivered. I have some questions and concerns long term, but I guess we'll get to that in a minute. But to the point of just what we saw a minute ago, and I'm dying to go back. I've only got to see it the once because then we hopped on here. I'm dying to go back and watch it several more times because I know that I'm going to catch more little things that I probably missed just on the initial showing.
Yeah, it looked like there was 5 people at the end there, Flobo. Now everyone's been calling this the Wyatt Sicks. There was 5 people presented. Any predictions? I guess also your thoughts on how this debut went, but also your predictions on maybe who the 5 people are under the masks, why there was only 5 people instead of 6. Maybe we just got it wrong. I don't know. And also, who else was knocked out besides, or I should say murdered, besides Chad Gable? I didn't realize that these were recognizable people until Chad Gable showed up. And I was like, oh, I know these guys.
He can't be murdered. He has a match next week. I mean,
had a match.
He had past tense. Well, I thought the debate was very cool. There was a lot of ways they could have done this. It could have been an 8 o'clock thing. It could have been just another tease on Raw. They gave us the full send. Very adamant that Nikki Cross was involved. Some of the masked superstars I couldn't tell, which is pretty cool. As far as it being a Wyatt Sicks, it's all rumors as it was. But I do think there was a 6th person to be added. But I'm okay if it's a long-term story of maybe someone trying to stop this nefarious force and they get adopted into it, much like how Dominic Mysterio was with Judgment Day.
Yeah, everyone definitely in the chat. Let me know who you think is there under the masks. I wasn't able to figure out who they all are. I'm very bad at this kind of stuff. Jax, by the way, a friend of the show for a long time, missing for a long time, suddenly shows up tonight. Maybe he's one of the people who's under the mask. Jax, where were you a few minutes ago? But Justin, so I love this debut. I think they did an incredible job. I will say I was getting a little ready for them to do something. I was getting a little burnt out on the QR codes. Now I feel like I want to see them actually do something. What do you think they need to do to keep this interesting? Should they just keep attacking people backstage? Do they need to get right in the ring? How do they handle this?
You don't need to get right in the ring. Lifting the lights up and seeing these guys in full lights up and everything, that's, you can hold off on that. Play as many tricks as you can for a while in terms of lighting and appearance. This presentation looked, so mysterious and spooky. The moment they're wrestling under just the normal bright lights like everybody else, I don't know. Here's what's going to be so tricky with this. And again, I love the magic. I'm Raj famously, he and I'd always go at it. He hated the magic. I like my magic. I like my smoke and mirrors. So I thought this delivered for a debut after all the anticipation. First off, you assume that this group is going to have to be skewed towards fighting heels. And so seeing Chad Gable laid out, that would lend into that, because and of course the crowd reaction. This is, at least initially, I don't know how long it's going to take to get off this, but at least initially, this is a continuation and a tribute to Bray Wyatt. This is a continuation of that man, of that character Bray Wyatt, and of course the man Wyndham Ratunda's work. Nobody wants to boo that. So that's the first thing, is you have these dangerous, spooky characters that live in this Firefly Funhouse universe and world, but they're gonna have to be put up against heels for right now because nobody wants to boo them. The other thing that's gonna be interesting to watch how this goes, and I know that they have the writer that worked with Bray, and I know they have the guys here in Pittsburgh that work with the costumes and the Firefly Fun. All of them are contributing to this. So like, and of course Triple H, as we've seen, his team, they tend to be way more open minded, way more progressive. They think things through. So there's a lot going for this creatively to try to work. But I think, I have to bring up the fact of the one concern I would have is, if Chad Gable and his Alpha Academy, if that stuff's starting to go stale or whatever, somebody stands up in the room and says, okay, we got to speed this up. We're dragging it on. Otis needs a turn on Chad. And you can do this for any other creative. Is everybody going to be ready to stand up if needed and say, hey, this is going in the wrong direction, or it's not, people aren't feeling it, we got to audible, like, because this is a project that in some ways is paying total respect to a man who was lost way too young, and all of his character work. Is it going to be given a leash that's too long when it's like, no, we need to pull back? I'm not saying pull the plug on it, but no, we need to pull back, we need to pivot, we need to go this direction. Are we prepared to be professional and do that? And I'm not being, that's just a real thing. I can never recall a situation that we've ever had this. Eddie Guerrero tragically passes, and they pay tribute to him through Ray and through, and that's tribute. But this is, I can never recall an active talent tragically passing away while being an active talent, and them trying to have characters invested on TV to basically continue that person's legacy. This is completely unprecedented in WWE. So all things that I'm just kind of keeping in mind, but going to sit back and watch it. But after tonight, though, the first initial impression was I can't wait to see what's next.
Yeah, Flobo, in your opinion, what do you think they need to do next? Because I think Justin brings up a ton of great points. I don't know how I can ever boo this team, but also I don't really know who they can target. Because again, as mentioned, Alpha Academy is kind of on their way out the door as a team anyways. And
Sure,
I like them. I don't want to see them get attacked by the Wyatt family, and I don't want to boo the Wyatt family. And I guess I don't really, it seems like one of those things that right now is great, but I have no idea how you actually implement it. And I'm sure they do, but what do you think they do?
yeah. The first thing I saw when I saw the group, all 5 of them, it being mixed gender, I was like, well, what other factions are living on Raw? There's Final Testament, there's Judgment Day, and I guess Alpha Academy, but I wasn't even thinking about Alpha Academy at the time. I was like, well, gang warfare of Judgment Day and Final Testament could work. But at the same time, you want to have that first impact, right? When you're a comic book reader, it's always Batman who gets beat up first on the cover because that makes you go, wow. You know what I mean? So I really don't know. And I think that's the balance we're all having here. It was a great debut. It was a great thing. But a lot of the flaws we had with Bray's ultimately final run about who can work with them is on my mind now until something changes.
Yeah, very fascinating to see where this goes and what's next. A lot of people saying the Creed brothers could help Chad Gable. I think that while that makes sense for a lot of reasons, it also feels like you're lining the Creed brothers up just to get murdered in that situation. It doesn't really help them much. It's weird to say, hey, come help me, and then just get destroyed by this new team, because this new team has got to destroy people. They can't just barely get wins and whatnot.
I also want to know. Oh, sorry, Jack. I also want to know, aside from pre-produced vignettes, which that again will probably be a strength for this group, given all the creative people helping behind the scenes. But if they speak at all live in front of a live crowd, who's doing the talking? Because obviously Bray, Bray Wyatt was an incredible talker with the things that he could come up with and the riddles and rhymes. I don't know if his brother, who's portraying Uncle Howdy, I don't know if he has that in him. I've seen him when it's you got to believe, but I don't know, does he have this type of stuff in him? Eric Rowan appeared to be there with the mallet. Glad to see Eric Rowan back. Tremendous guy. Obviously, very fitting for him to be part of this. Happy, but I don't know we've never heard the range of speaking from him. And then the other character, so that I'll be really curious too is who's communicating in this. Even all the countdowns that we had in these QR codes, it was all just again text and latitude, longitude coordinates and all this stuff. Like nobody was really cutting promos and cutting sound bites. So I'll be watching who can do that here.
I'll also be curious to see how they tie it to wrestling at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, it's got to end up in a wrestling ring, right? And that was something that I always felt that Bray Wyatt's character sort of struggled with. He had this great character and he had these great promos. And Flobo, I want your thoughts on this. But then it'd be like, I'm randomly going to have a match with LA Knight. And it'd be kind of like, well, what does that have to do with the lore you're telling?
Sure.
And I think that might be a trick that they have to figure out, as well as how does this family now find themselves saying, I want a challenge for the world title,
Well, I think that's the issue, and that's going to be something you can pretty much find an answer with long term. One of the advantages now with the new storytelling and the international pay-per-views that with 5 matches PLE, you don't really have to have something every single month. You can do is go in the back burner, make adjustments, have people involved long term. But yeah, I'm a firm believer that no matter what conflict you introduce, you have to figure it out. How is it going to fit into a framework of fighting, pins, and submissions? And so far, as it is, we don't see it because it's been so subversive. I have to remember who I am. Am I a fighter? I know damn well I'm not. I'm a guy who gives up pretty easily.
Yeah, if they come after me, you win, guys. I'm done. We're good. If they start attacking everyone in the gorilla position, I'm pulling a Drew McIntyre. I'm heading out of there. I'm getting out of there.
I quit.
Everyone, let us know in the chat. It seems like the chat seems pretty positive over the whole thing, and I think visually, this debut. Visually, it looked great. I think that they pulled it off. They did an amazing job. And I can't wait to see how they move this forward. Of course, Triple H has done a great job of finding ways to make stuff like this work. So we'll see what the next stage is. But for now, I guess it's wait and see.